When the levees broke, the real loss that I felt was this neighborhood.
We was devastated. We had water up to the roofs in most of the houses on this side of Claiborne Avenue. And so from that, we decided that we needed to build resources for our community.
Neighborhood work is heavy. It's hard, it's emotional, it's all the things that lead to a heart attack.
Partnerships are huge. To do anything this large, you can never do it by yourself.
Because NeighborWorks really thinks about what are the differences in communities and what are the challenges that in any given time we're facing, we try really hard not to have a one-size-fits-all approach.
What we realized very quickly is that people were very wanting to be a part of the rebuilding effort. They've shown a lot of resiliency in coming back to the table, not only discussing about what they've gone through, but talking about how they would like to have their communities rebuilt.
We knew that people had to join together, organizations had to join together, communities had to join together, funders had to think differently, because it was never going to be the one that was going to make the difference. It was the 10 or the 100.
We went from having only one NeighborWorks organization, but then we ended up having 32 or more golf partners.
It was NeighborWorks who helped us convene a visioning session with the neighborhood in the spring of 2006 that brought together about 80 people. Now, before Katrina, when the Neighborhood Association met, they might have 10, 20 people who came to a meeting. Now the population was at a fraction of what it had been before the storm. And we have a visioning session that's attended by 4 times as many people. And the vision was to be able to rebuild it and to maintain the same diversity. And we've done that in a variety of ways. We've administered a facade program to give grants to businesses to improve their facade. We have acquired and redeveloped at least 5 commercial properties on the Front Street corridor. We began over 15 years ago having a neighborhood festival, the Front Street Festival, that began to bring people to the street so that they could discover that this is a good place to live, work, and play. We recognize it's not enough just to build a home. You have to really build community. We reaffirm that commitment further by opening the Front Neighborhood Center, and it has served as a gathering place and helped to restitch the community back together that was really torn asunder by the 6-foot floodwaters that we had on Ferret Street.
Since we've been here, I think there's been 5 or 6 other businesses that have started. It's not all restaurants, it's everything from a spa to a cake shop to another bar, and it's been great.
My home and my family and my business are on Ferret because of an NHS and NeighborWorks.
The city's an organism. It's a living, breathing entity that needs to be treated like an organism.
What we try and create is a space for the whole neighborhood to talk. Like, how do you set a table where you have persons who are interested in education, persons who are interested in crime, those who are interested in infrastructure, all can sit at the same table and talk about how do we change or have an impact on the neighborhood. That's a big deal.
In order to get the park going, we had the 3 neighborhood associations, Malia Neighborhood Association, Pine Village Association, and Rosedale Association. After we got small little kids section and the benches and the sandbox and all, somebody that was working on that knew Honey's organization. They came out and said, well, we'll redo your whole basketball court.
Before the storm, I didn't care anything about what went on in the city. It was more like just work and go ahead on and enjoy your life, whatever it took to be happy and secure. But after the storm, a lot of things happened for me, and so I know I needed knowledge on how to be a leader.
So she has an after-school program going on in her neighborhood. She has revitalized her park. She has purchased blighted property and turned it into a resource library for the kids to do after-school programming. So she is like a superstar.
I decided to do those things through Capacity College. And Capacity College took me to like City Hall 101, building capacity, things like that.
National Training Institutes, that's where we impart our knowledge on trainers, and they in turn bring that back to the residents and communities that they serve.
After I learned the knowledge, I started sending more of our residents to take those classes also.
From all the learning that they gained from these different activities, they were able to go back to the community, engage their residents, resulting in some 1.9 million volunteer hours. That's really amazing.
We also use some of our capital resources and our training resources to help organizations be able to start some of the pre-development work, the critical work that is essential to getting new housing on the ground.
We have invested some $18 million, and that money has been used very effectively, leveraging another $800 million in outside investors. We're very proud of that, and that will yield over 5,000 units in this very short period of time.
Through the NeighborWorks America startup money and their partnership with Habitat International, Neighborhood Housing Services North Shore formed a partnership with the Habitat affiliates here. So families who come to us, Habitat families or any family who comes to us, we work with them and help them move forward to home ownership.
The cost of owning a home in St. Tammany Parish was just extremely high for me. I couldn't afford it, so I spoke with a friend of mine. She had a house purchased through Habitat for Humanity, and she referred me over to NHS, and I went from there.
So NeighborWorks made a great commitment to the Gulf Coast in the wake of the storm, to Mississippi, Alabama, and Louisiana. And they've been supporting us since 2007 with general operating support for Providence, which helped us stay afloat, frankly. There's been some tough times, as everybody knows, in the economy, tough times where we couldn't get our developments closed and open the way we intended, and because of NeighborWorks, we're still here to talk about it and making progress. Before the storm, rarely did people leave. So that's why it hurts so bad to see people move away, because they didn't have a choice. So we have built about 1,000 rental units and about 75 homes for sale.
A friend of mine asked me if I would like to purchase a house. So I said, I'm 69 years old, I'm not going to afford that. So I didn't act on it. So 2 weeks later, he called me and I spoke with Miss Green, and the wheels started rolling, and I have a house.
I went to the Providence office and did the paperwork, was approved, went to NHS, and that's how I got in.
I've always said I wanted to see a new Jerusalem. Well, that Jerusalem is over there.
The training that NeighborWorks has been able to provide to these community leaders is really sort of the very beginning step for us in the process of making sure that the community is going to be vibrant and sustainable for the long term. Sustainability's got such a broad range of definitions, and it's everything from sort of the green aspects of the home, like energy efficiency and energy production, the health and safety of the materials that we're using, all the way to the sustainability of the financial sustainability of the families that we're serving.
It was very devastating. We had 22 feet of water at my home, and I was living there since I was 1 year old, my entire life.
Our son Henry Jr. had told us about the program. He said, "Mom, try it." And I said, "Henry, I don't know. We've tried to purchase a home in the past, and our credit and our finances have never been right." He said, "Mom, just go for it, go for it."
NeighborWorks America designed the systems and the procedures and the infrastructure at Make It Right required to help families meet the test to become mortgage ready.
We can build the best house in the world. It's energy efficient, it's healthy and safe and durable and beautiful, but if a family, the family that's living there can't afford to maintain it or can't afford to be there for the long term, then we won't ultimately be successful.
Working with Make It Right financially, it keeps me focused to make sure that I do what I need to do to make sure I continue my good credit and to pay my bills on time.
If you put yourself in a situation where people are there to care, they're not there to pass judgment, bad credit, no credit, you made bad choices in the past, it is what it is. When you have people who just care and say, you know what, we're going to do this together as a team. It's really about teamwork.
Make It Right has been a blessing to me and my family. We lost everything, and to come into some, a nice, beautiful house and make it right has been the world to us. Has made darkness turn into light.
I always feel that a nonprofit is the entity that comes in and takes a risk before the for-profit sector is prepared to do so.
They're NeighborWorks for a reason. They are what we would call the incubator, the one who plants the seed.
I think that NeighborWorks has created we have a true partnership.
There's no way that we could be building the houses that we're building without this partnership with NeighborWorks. I mean, they've been a critical partner for us.
NeighborWorks has been, since our founding, and remains one of probably our key.
We feel hopeful because we can't give up. We just can't give in. We can't just say, well, it's not going to happen.
It's not impossible. Once you dedicate yourself mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, it's possible.
Nothing's worse than doing nothing. If you think nothing's going to happen, exactly, nothing is going to happen. But if you just pick up the phone and call somebody and say, I want to be a homeowner. If you have the will, the desire, and the stick-to-itiveness, we're seeing people who thought homeownership couldn't happen for them happen. And I'm proud to say that NeighborWorks has been a part of
that. People in the city of New Orleans connect to their neighborhoods because of something as simple as where you get your seafood.
I fix potato salad, bread pudding, baked macaroni, fried chicken.
My favorite po' boy is an oyster shrimp mix.
Probably shrimp, but I also love oysters.
Oysters, or oyster po' boy sandwich, or oyster loaf.
Charbroil oysters, they're just great.
Oyster and shrimp on a nice French bread.
Shrimp po' boy.
Shrimp po' boy, oyster po' boy. I usually get half and half.
A roast beef dressed.
A combination, oyster and shrimp.
Oyster shrimp mix is that they mix all the oysters and shrimp together.
That's New Orleans.
That's New Orleans.
It wouldn't be New Orleans if we didn't talk about food.